I'm going to go over this because I saw it and it hurt my brain.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since you bring it up, why don't we just start there? Dr. Verma, I wasn't sure I understood your answer to Senator Moody a moment ago. Do you think that men can get pregnant?
I hesitated there because I wasn't sure where the conversation was going.
Okay, so this is a Senate hearing on the safety of abortion drugs, if I remember correctly. And Dr. Verma, she's a, if you can't tell from the name, she's a doctor. She's testifying to talk about their efficacy and their safety and so on. And that's where we are now. So the question, can men get pregnant, has nothing to do with the substance of the hearing. It's just like we're getting into the conservative. We're doing the Chud dialogue tree.
Or what the goal was. I mean, I do take care of patients with different identities. I take care of many women. I take care of people with different identities. And so that's where I paused. I think, yeah, I wasn't sure where you were going with that.
Well, the goal is just the truth. So can men get pregnant?
Again, the reason I paused there is I'm not really sure what the goal of the question.
The goal is just to establish a biological reality. You just said a moment ago that science and evidence should control, not politics.
Absolutely.
So let's just test that proposition. Can men get pregnant?
I take care of people with many identities, but
can men get pregnant?
Many women that can get pregnant. I do take care of people that don't identify as women. That
can men get pregnant?
Again, as I'm saying,
let me just remind you what you testified to a moment ago. Science and evidence should control, not politics. So can men?
I'm not mad at her because she's just a doctor. She's not a like, I wouldn't expect her to be up on all the Chud talking points or whatever. But man, if you believe the answer is yes, say yes. Like, if you are testifying to Republicans on anything medical or anything scientific at all, honestly, if you're ever talking to a Republican at this point, you should have an answer to this, right? Just a straightforward answer. You know, you can say I'm not saying you need to be like a wizard with it. You don't need to become a debater or whatever. You can say, like, people with wombs can get pregnant and some people with wombs are men. Or yes, some men can get pregnant, not most though. You have to give some kind of answer, because this evasiveness feeds into every negative stereotype Republicans have about our perception of trans people. Keep in mind that the position Republicans hold on us is that support for trans people is either motivated by genuine delusion, like mental illness, like we think that biological sex is completely transient, like fully, like no meaning to any of these terms or whatever, which is obviously not true. Or they think we're being insincere. That's another really common, like, position or slot they put us into, that doctors will grit their teeth and abide by, like, woke gender ideology, not because they believe in it or whatever. They don't think it's scientifically correct, but because they're trying to acquiesce to social pressure, right? So when a doctor is doing this, they're like gritting their teeth and refusing to answer in either direction. It kind of confirms that prior. The impression that they get, and even to an extent the impression I get, is that she doesn't think men can get pregnant, because she doesn't really, because the framing of the question is obviously one where you're conflating sex and gender, right? So like on one hand, it's like, well, you can't get pregnant without a womb, which is true. And then on the other hand, it's like, well, some men have wombs because of transgenderism or whatever. But by not putting her feet down on any definition or any answer, she makes it seem like she's totally non-committal, It's like she's looking over her shoulder to see if the woke mob is there to persecute her for potentially telling the brave truth to Senator Hawley. At least that's how I think a lot of people would see it.
Get pregnant. You're a doctor, I think.
Science and evidence should guide medicine.
Do science and evidence tell us that men can get pregnant?
Just ask him to define man. It's a Senate hearing. She can't ask questions, or like he's not under any obligation to answer. He would just bowl over her. You just have to provide an answer. Who's the man questioning her? Senator Josh Hawley.
Biological men, can they get pregnant?
I also think yes/no questions like this are a political tool. And
no, yes/no questions are.
That's true, but you do have to be able to answer it,
About the truth, doctor. Let's not make a mockery of this proceeding. This is about science and evidence. And I'm asking you, You know, the United States Supreme Court just heard arguments yesterday at great length on this question. This is not a hypothetical question. This is not theoretical. It affects real people in their real lives. And you're here as an expert, called by the other side as an expert. And you've been telling us that you follow, right, you're a doctor, and you follow the science and the evidence. So I just want to know, based on the science, can men get pregnant? That's a yes or no question. It really is, I think.
I think you're trying to reduce the complexity of a lot.
I'm not. I'm trying to get, it's not complex. I'm trying to get to an answer, and I'm trying to test, frankly, your veracity as a medical professional and as a scientist. Can men get pregnant?
I think you're also conflating
This is
male
extraordinary.
female with.
No, I'm not conflating male and female. They're two different things. There's biological men and there's biological women. And I want to know, can men get pregnant?
What you were talking about is biological.
You're not going to answer my
saying
question.
Biological
no.
males.
This isn't hard, doctor. Can men get pregnant? Yes or no?
Again, I would be more than happy to have a conversation with you that is not coming from a place of trying to be polarized and push.
I'm not trying to be polarizing. I'm trying to ask. I think it is extraordinary that we are here.
I agree with Holly on this. Man, I feel like transgender people are probably don't feel very represented by this. I genuinely, I think that most trans people would probably prefer she just said, no, only biological women could get pregnant, or biological females, or whatever she would say. Like, if she just said that, I think that would be less frustrating for most trans people watching this than if she, this continual non-answering of the question.
In a hearing about science and about women, and for the record, it's women who get pregnant, not men.
It also.
Oh, is this a Dem thing or a liberal thing? Nah, this kind of inept. Again, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be mean to her. She's a doctor. It's not fair. She has to navigate this bullshit, right? But I'm just talking broadly. This kind of inept liberal progressivism has been a thing on so many different issues. Oh, you know what I remember? When I was young, this was where people were at with whether or not gay couples should be able to adopt and raise children. Where the progressive opinion was, yes, they should, because why wouldn't they be able to? They can be parents, why not? If two individual men could be the father half of a mother-father parent couple, then why couldn't they both be parents in a father parent couple or whatever else like that? But there were a lot of liberal progressives whose support for the issue was very milquetoast. And if they were asked any follow-up question, but don't you think that a child needs a mother in their life? They would say, maybe I heard there were so many bad answers to that. People would be like, well, maybe, but they can have a female friend, or, well, one of the gay men might have a more motherly energy, that kind of thing. You know what I mean? They would always they would acquiesce to the question, to the bias, rather than rejecting it outright. Whether or not they were sincere is kind of outside the purview of the question. It's more a matter of how do they appear sincere.
We are here about the safety of women and science that shows that this abortion drug causes adverse health events in 11% of cases. That's 22 times greater than the FDA label, another fact you haven't acknowledged, and yet you won't even acknowledge the basic reality that biological men don't get pregnant. There's a difference between biological men and biological women. I don't know how we can take you seriously and your claims to be a person of science if you won't level with this on this basic issue. I thought we were past all of this, frankly. I can't believe we're still here talking about this.
I am a person of science, and I'm also someone here who's here to represent the complex experiences of my patients, and I don't think polarized language or questions serve that goal. I don't think they serve the American people.
It is not polarizing to say that there is a scientific difference between men and women, and I want this to be clear and for the record. It is not polarizing to say that women are a biological reality and should be treated and protected as such. That is not polarizing.
Please stop the clip at Suey Bay. Yeah, but you all understand the problem here, right? I just think we all live in an occupied country. Our regime is occupying us. We need to know how to deal with this. And it's the big 26, man. Like, we've been dealing with this for a while. It's like, you should know the kind of shit you're going to have thrown at you in this context.
Polarizing, that is truth. It is also, by the way,
I beg you, Vosh, please let it end. Donate.
United States Constitution, which offers unique protections to women in a variety of circumstances as women. And your refusal to recognize women as women and men as men is deeply corrosive to science, to public trust, and yes, to constitutional protections for women as women. And I think it's extraordinary that you would sit here and advance a political agenda that has been thoroughly discredited and rejected by the American people.
5 minutes of the Senate hearing taken up by this.
In this forum. And I'm glad we had this exchange because it is exceptionally clarifying. It is also in many ways quite depressing. I see that my time has nearly expired. I just want to thank the other witnesses for being here. Thank you for protecting women and children. Thank you for your valiant efforts. Thank you for following the science. And thank you, Mr. Chairman, for
I don't know, man. I just feel like it's really, really, really important that we all assume, I guess, some level of responsibility for it. These conversations feel so like out of date. You know what I mean? In the context of the complete destruction of the country and of the Constitution, these feel like what they are, which is like the initial effort to hook people in with a reactionary talking point, but one that you kind of focus on less as you shift over to your main your main compulsion, which in this case mostly is immigration, right? Like, that's the one that they committed to for the most part. I don't know. Sorry for the suey fuel. I know it's tough for you guys. That pissed me off. So okay, a lot of you are mad now. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.